Hey, Momentum, welcome back. I'm going to be talking about alcohol today. I've got some open opportunity. I'm at Barnes & Noble, chilling, relaxing, and coming to you with some fresh information about alcohol. Can I lose weight and still drink alcohol? Should I cut it out altogether and avoid it as much as possible? What do we do about this stuff, and how does it directly affect metabolism, weight loss, weight gain? And so we're going to be diving into these facts today, okay? Hopefully this is some good information for you, and you find a lot of value here. So first off, some basic facts about alcohol. There's a lot of different types of alcohol, but the main one that we drink is ethanol, okay? As far as that goes, ethanol is formed from the formation of dense carbohydrates, things such as wheat, corn, potatoes, grapes. We get a lot of these mainly from our wheat and grapes, like beer and wine. During that process, it transformed into a new macronutrient, and that's called alcohol. So the fermentation process creates the alcohol that we drink. Now, as far as calories go, we know that carbs and proteins are 4 calories per gram. Fat is 9 calories per gram. Alcohol ranks in at 7 calories per gram, okay? So we have a gram of alcohol, then that is 7 calories, okay? So that'll give you a little perspective on quantity, okay? This can make alcohol a little bit of an issue, and the main issue with alcohol is that it's obviously a liquid, and it keeps your stomach light on the appetite, so it doesn't fill you up. It's not filling at all. And then we know that if we're drinking our calories, then we can easily overindulge, okay? And that's something that we want to stay away from, is overindulging on any level of any type of food, okay? Regular alcohol consumption seems to positively affect insulin sensitivity. So this is a good thing because it makes your body much more robust. It senses insulin, it senses the need for it, senses carbohydrates in the body, and it's not insulin resistance where you have to have more and more and more insulin being put out into the body for it to then be absorbed. So this is with the insulin sensitivity. This is where things get a little bit interesting, and this allows your body to direct calories away from fat storage from your day-to-day life, and that's what insulin sensitivity does. It can, if you're insulin sensitive, then it can fuel the muscles, other organs and whatnot that need calories. Again, fuel it away from gaining as fat. Okay, and so we want to move forward with this. While alcohol itself can't be stored as body fat, it blocks fat oxidation, which in turn accelerates the rate at which your body stores dietary fat. What this means is that your body is much more likely to store fat, as it can't be oxidized away. Luckily here, alcohol won't be converted into any significant amount of fatty acids, so that isn't necessarily the problem unless you end up eating things like cupcakes or other types of food that are less beneficial for you. So what happens is that we end up eating that alcohol itself isn't going to cause the issue. What will cause issues is that you end up eating in excess of what you're supposed to be eating, and so that 100-calorie drink or 200-calorie drink turns into 500 calories real quick. Alcohol is absorbed throughout our entire GI tract. Our GI tract starts up here and goes all the way through the esophagus, stomach, the large intestine, small intestines, and out the backside. Now, here's one thing: is that as soon as you drink alcohol, it immediately becomes prioritized. So, like any other type of fat burning going on that you may have set yourself up for, is then ceases to exist. Because our liver loves to use alcohol as fuel, it's nearly impossible for alcohol itself to be stored as fat, because our liver can metabolize that pretty efficiently. So when we say that fat gains from alcohol are very, very negligible, okay? So it's not a strong suit for us to have gain fat from that, because our liver loves to use it as fuel. But the problem is that it ultimately, again, going back to that fat oxidation, it stops the fat burning process, and then you're much more likely to store fat. We'll talk about LADH, okay? This is an enzyme called liver alcohol dehydrogenase that limits the amount of ethanol we can oxidize at one point, okay? So a typical man, a person about 155 pounds as an example, can oxidize about 1 drink per hour, okay? A drink would be about a shot of alcohol. It's about 15 grams of ethanol, so what it works out to be about 1.5 shots, a pint of beer, 5 ounces of wine, and so you'd be considered drunk after 4 of these drinks in an hour, because your body just can't process the ethanol fast enough. The liver alcohol dehydrogenase cannot process it enough, okay? Also, here you may wonder why alcohol makes you sleepy, and then you oversleep and you remain tired the next day, right? This is due to the release of the inhibitor gamma and aminobutyric, okay? It's called GABA. This makes it easier to fall asleep, but harder to fall into a deep sleep, okay? So that's obviously in the deep sleep is where rest occurs, where the body gets rejuvenated. And if we're not into the falling into that deep REM sleep, then you're not going to feel as rested as you would normally. Next up, a little bit talk about testosterone. Alcohol lowers testosterone production, but only by a little bit. Okay, it's not a huge deal. Going with the worst possible outcome, though, I found some studies that suggest that if you were to go out and have 3 drinks every night for a course of 21 days, that your testosterone production would go down as much as 7%, which isn't really a big deal. Okay, and then if you were to skip alcohol, that production of testosterone would go back up. And what produces good testosterone, especially for men? Working out, eating healthy, lots of vegetables, not a lot of alcohol, plenty of sleep, okay? Those are the main things that happen. As far as protein synthesis, alcohol probably won't affect your ability to synthesize protein either. The protein synthesis rumors you may have heard stem from studies that are done on rats, but they aren't done on the same findings aren't done in humans. So your body is still able to do protein synthesis, process the body fat, and do what it needs to. So alcohol will not necessarily keep you from building bigger biceps. Okay. While the overall body of evidence currently indicates that a moderate alcohol consumption likely comes with a lot of perks, alcoholism comes with a plethora of side effects. So there's one thing we're not talking about here is alcoholism. We're talking about how do we make allow you to be able to drink some alcohol and still maintain the benefits of an active, healthy life. So alcoholics are often riddled with heart disease, with health problems, and high rates of cancer, right? Abstainers, though, on the other side, people that just don't drink at all, they surprisingly have the next highest mortality rate. So if you stick within a light to moderate alcohol consumption, that's about 1 to 3 drinks a day, particularly a little bit on the lower side, you probably have nothing to worry about and can potentially collect some really good health benefits, like a stronger immune system, decreased chance of getting a common cold. Maybe I've been dealing with that for the last 2 weeks, coughing a lot. Maybe if I drink some alcohol, that would help. That's why they would always suggest, and in the old days, having a shot of whiskey or whatnot to help clear out your immune system. Excuse me. I'm doing this talk at like 4, not at like 9:30, 10 o'clock, so I should have a lot more energy for you guys in terms of not yawning. So, the other thing, we decrease our risk of Alzheimer's and dementia, metabolic syndrome issues go down, cancer, arthritis, heart disease, and depression are other, it gets reduced with moderate alcohol consumption. So, the absolute healthiest amount to drink is 1 drink per day, okay? And the side effects start to come after 3.5 drinks per day. So that's what I've really kind of found across the board, is that drinking 1 a day isn't going to really affect much of anything, but the more that we have, the worse things get, okay? Alcohol isn't necessarily inherently good or bad or neutral, but it starts out good. Excuse me. Alcohol starts out good, then it becomes neutral, then ends up bad, and we've all seen situations where people take alcohol too far. Basically, in short, it's not the calories from the alcohol that can make you fat, but all the crap that you eat with it. Which is hard to resist when you're drunk, when you've had too much, you've overconsumed it. It becomes very challenging for you to be able to maintain that for yourself. Okay, so if you actually want to be able to drink while dieting and still lose weight, don't drink more than 1 per week. You could get away with a handful here and there, but we're not necessarily interested in, again, drinking a lot. So here's a couple things that you can do to protect yourself from excessive fat storage. Grab a quick sip here. Restrict your dietary fat intake that day, okay? So alcohol blocks fat oxidation and breaking down of fat, and so if you have a lot of fat on the time that you're eating, drinking, then we can have issues with that fat just getting stored as fat, okay? The body won't process it as well. So we want to keep fatty foods down to a lot down. So what usually accompanies a bar situation or alcohol in general? Fatty foods. Okay, so you have to see the correlation there. Get the vast majority of your calories from protein and carbs a day, with most of them coming from protein. It's the other, so keep fat down, eat primarily protein vegetables, lean vegetables. Stay away from carb-laden drinks. It's like beer and the fruity drinks. Some of those fruity drinks can like 500 calories plus. Martini, easy 500 calories for that stuff. Dry wines are a pretty good choice, as well as spirits, shots. I always say, what is the purpose of your drinking? Do you want to get a buzz? Do you want to be social? What's the ordeal? And when you understand that, then you can kind of get straight to the point. So if you are to want to get drunk, just go with a 3-shot on an empty stomach, triple shot, and you'll be pretty set to go. If you're in for being social, I would nurse that beer or sip that wine for quite a long time to reduce the intake, still get the taste of what you're looking for, and you should be good to go. Along with the fruity stuff, is we want to make sure that we limit the amount of sugar that's going into our body around this time. So we're not really interested in drinking a lot of the sugar, because that's where a lot of excess calories come, that's where a lot of insulin issues come, and the body can get a little more on the storing body fat. So what happens when we, because alcohol reduces fat oxidation again, is that all that sugar that you end up drinking goes straight to your belly, okay? And that's where you get that beer belly and that belly fat. So some of the top ones that I would actually pick for you would be red wine, would be whiskey, scotch, tequila, vodka, rum, gin. They have pretty much their only calories that are coming from alcohol itself, and not extra stuff like a margarita or a martini. So those are some pretty solid choices for you. Okay, let's talk a bit about beer, because that's a super important thing that a lot of people do. Drinking beer is often associated with increased body fat, right? You always hear about the beer bellies and whatnot. And that can be a problem. We'll talk about it. Beer is an alcoholic drink that's made from grain like barley, wheat, or rye. It's fermented with yeast and flavored with hops. Beer goes through a 5-step brewing process. Number one is malting, so the grains are heated, dried, and cracked. Okay, we've got mashing. The grains are soaked in water to release the sugars. This results in a sugary liquid called wort. W-O-R-T. Wort. Next up, we have boiling. So boiling the wort is then in hops that are added to give the beer its flavor. So we boil the wort, add the hops in, and then give the beer its flavor. Excuse me a second. 2 weeks in and still feeling it right here. I'm ready to be done with this. Fermenting. This is the 4th stage. So yeast is added to the mix, and the wort is fermented to form alcohol and carbon dioxide. Hello. And then last up, we have 5. We've got bottling. The beer is bottled and left to age. Okay. We always have age to perfection, right? That's the marketing that alcohol companies kind of put on there and talk about. Now, as far as the strength of the beer, depends on the amount of alcohol it contains, and that's usually about 4 to 6% of it is alcohol. That's like a Bud Light would be about 4%, and then you get a little bit more of your specialty crafts at 6% or more. I think there's beer that gets up to 12%. Those are your really hardcore beer crafts. The main type of beers that are served are pale ale, we have stout, we've got wheat beer, and lager, which is the most popular of them all. Now again, beer, just as any other alcohol, is 7 calories per gram, okay? So we have to note that it is nearly twice as much as carbs and protein, and a little bit under fat in terms of its actual consumption. Now, beer has carbs because of the wheat, okay? When we look at the nutritional value of beer, it can vary. However, the amounts for a 12-ounce, that's about 4% alcohol, so just kind of some general stats. It's about 150 calories, 14 grams of alcohol, 13 carbs, 2 protein, and 0 fat, all right? So that is kind of how most beers are broken down. 150 calories, 13 carbs, and 2 grams of protein. Now, if we compare that to like a soft drink, like a Coke or something, a Coke has 250 calories, has 40 carbs that are 39 of them are sugar. So, in a sense, a can of beer can be healthier or less calories than a can of Coke, and it's not going to drive that insulin sensitivity down because of the sugar that you ingest. Okay. So here are, next up we're going to talk about 3 ways that a beer may cause fat gain. Okay. These include causing excessive calorie consumption, preventing your body from burning fat, and increasing the phytoestrogen content of your diet. It increases your calorie intake, and beer can contain as many calories as a soft drink, and can add a lot of calories to your diet if you are not conscious and aware of you eating what you eat when you eat it. Okay, and what gets paired with the beer. Some studies have also shown that drinking alcohol can increase your appetite in the short term, causing you to eat more than you otherwise would. Right? Go figure. You drink beer, your inhibition's lower, and you're a little more likely to actually eat more food. Furthermore, it's been shown that people don't always compensate for the calories they consume from alcohol by eating less or other food instead. So, usually what happens is that alcohol just gets added onto the top of the list of what you're eating for that day. Beer may prevent fat burning, right? Drinking alcohol can prevent your body from burning fat. This is because your body prioritizes the breakdown of alcohol over other sources of fuel, including storing fat. So your body's going to start processing alcohol right away. It's going to be less likely to burn the fat on your body then. It contains phytoestrogens that I talked about. These are the flowers of the hop plant that are used to give the beer its flavor. And this plant is known to be very high the hops are known to be very high in phytoestrogens, and the compound that mimics the action of the female sex hormone estrogen in your body. Okay? It's been suggested that hops in beer may cause hormonal changes in men, which is not cool, and increase the risk of stored belly fat. Furthermore, another study found that men who drink more than 3 drinks per day were 80% more likely to have a lot of belly fat than men who drank half as much or less. Over the long term, drinking beer regularly but moderately in portions of less than 17 ounces. So 17 ounces is kind of that break point. 17 ounces or less, not a big deal. We get above 17 ounces, then our body ends up increasingly storing unwanted body fat, and it's particularly right around the belly. All right. Nevertheless, drinking more than that could be lead to significant weight gain over time, because you're just going to start adding in more calories into your day, because it's easy to get away with 24 ounces of beer and then still eat a bunch of food as well. Men have higher risk than women. The link between weight gain and drinking is stronger in men than it is in women, and this is because it's thought to be that men tend to drink more heavily than women, and that can be upwards of 3 times as much. Okay, men are also more likely to store their body fat around their belly as they gain weight. Then we go back to the fact that alcohol lowers testosterone, and this is true for beer as well. In fact, 52% of obese men have levels of testosterone at the low end of normal. So that goes all the way down to like 300 milligrams of testosterone for the body. Again, the most likely way beer contributes to belly fat is the excessive calories that it adds to your diet. Okay? So that is important to note that. Ultimately, the bottom line of all this is that drinking beer can cause weight gain. Okay? That's important to know. Alcohol can cause increased weight gain. That you want to make sure that you are having a day of lower fat intake, mainly protein and vegetables, to be able to get away with it. If you have more than 3 drinks a day, you're going to be way more likely to increase your body fat and overall calories for the day. Being drunk inhibits you to making good food choices, and it allows you to pick foods that are going to cost more in terms of fat than you'd want them to. Okay, so this is a couple of the main takeaways, and I would always suggest that when you go into situations when it talks about alcohol, is that what are the reasons behind why you're drinking? What's going on? Are you going out for a social event? Is it a work event? Is it just with friends? Like, what's going on? Or is it with family? Because of your family, in that case, you may want to get drunk. No, I'm joking. But you also want to make sure that we sacrifice and knowing that, okay, I'm going to be eating this much calories of alcohol, and I want to make sure that I then take out those calories from your dietary selections. Okay, so those are going to be the biggest ways to kind of curb any weight gain with alcohol. Apply this information. One drink or less a day isn't necessarily going to hurt you. You're going to want to make sure you track for it and account for it. As you go into 3 drinks or more, then we have serious issues. Note that no matter what, drinking alcohol will stop fat oxidation in your liver. Your body has to start dealing with with the alcohol that you just put into it. So there you go.